Hey, this is the World Advice Channel 2. What I want to talk about today is a topic of can we still save the world, okay? Because the truth of the matter is, if you actually pay attention to what's going on in the world has many issues, but there's a few main issues that the world has that definitely can jeopardize the future, which is everything from global warming to resource depletion, like running out of resources so we wouldn't be able to feed everyone, to, of course, this new AI technology, all that stuff that's coming up now. The question, obviously, like I was saying before, is that can we still save this world from falling apart due to these evil corporations that are running the world? And the simple answer to that question, believe it or not, is guess what? Yes, we still can save the world. Okay, because the truth of the matter is, as we all know, and I'm certain you've watched enough movies, because the average person, of course, consumes a decent amount of movies, and the truth of the matter is, I'm certain a lot of those movies you consume talk about the world coming to an end, and so on and so forth, and all that type of shit, so you probably watched enough movies, the average person like watching this video to show that, that talks about topics like the world coming to an end, and stuff like that, to, of course, let it shape your mind and just make you kind of think, yeah, we're kind of screwed because humanity's stupid and so on and so forth. But despite those type of things, I definitely do believe we can still save the world, okay? Because the reason why we still can save the world, whether it could be from global warming, AI technology, and of course resource depletion, is that even though we're reaching a breaking point when it comes to those issues screwing the whole world up, the truth of the matter is we haven't reached a point where it's like, okay, there's no way we can not undo the damage it has created, okay? Because the truth of the matter is, when we look at the issues like global warming, which of course is the idea that the polar ice caps are going to melt and it's going to create massive environmental damage, to the idea, of course, as well, that of course, AI is going to take all of our jobs and that's going to create an apocalypse because people are not going to have enough money to pay for themselves, and of course it's going to create riots and maybe even wars over it, to, of course, lastly, of course, as well, the idea of us having environmental damage that destroys the world, all those things for that matter, and not just all those things, but all those things put together, because those are all issues the world is suffering from right now. The truth of the matter is, I definitely believe, since we haven't reached a point where it's completely developed, we can still save it. And the best way, of course, to save the world is, of course, protesting and so on and so forth, okay? Because the truth of the matter is, when it comes to protesting is a good way to get people's voices heard. The only problem is the way people protest, okay? The best way to protest is not going around waving sticks, with, of course, some pieces of paper on it saying your message like it's still the 1960s. That's outdated. That doesn't work anymore. The modern world is not like that anymore. Those days compared to today are so much simpler than the world we live in today. It is way more complicated than it was back then. Not only do we have more people, just in general, because we have more people, it's more intricate, the world is more connected, and yada yada yada. To sum it up, in general, the world is a lot more complex than it was back then. So a lot of the things that worked back then would not work like they would now, in all honesty, to be honest with you, okay? That is the truth of the matter, to put it bluntly, okay? No surprise to anyone for that matter, okay? I think we all know that, okay? So that's not really going to work anymore, because the truth of the matter is, I'm certain the big corporations who run this world have figured out better strategies to figure out how to not let that stuff get to them, when it comes to, of course, the companies and stuff that they're running, okay? So the best way to get back at them is to boycott them, okay? Whether it could be AI technology like ChatGPT, or maybe companies that are not willing to work with, people to figure out better ways we can create, electric cars for the issue of global warming, to companies that just unnecessarily deplete huge amount of resources when it's clearly been shown there are actually more effective ways, for that matter, to not use as much resources. Like I remember I actually watched a video a few years ago where they said that, you know, that there's some process that is needed to extract minerals, you know, from the land in like Brazil or something, you know, like rocks, whatever, you know, you get the point, like minerals that we need for our everyday lives, for like the stuff we purchase and stuff like that, like electronics, all that stuff, yada yada yada, you get the point. But the thing is, you know, is that the water that they use, the water pressure systems that they use, to be more exact, have been outdated for decades, but they haven't put an effort to, of course, change it to use ones that, of course, would use less water, but are still as effective, and if anything, even more effective than the ones used from the, let's just say, 1970s, okay? Because they want to save money, you know, so shit like that, like that type of stuff, okay? Those type of companies, okay? Um, you know, for that matter, okay? If you were to boycott them, then obviously they're not going to make profits. And if as a result of not making profits, they can go out of business. And if they go out of business, they're not able to screw things up like they were able to. So the truth of the matter is, if you want to save the world, the best way to save the world, you know, in other words, the solution to it is to boycott the companies that are causing the problems in the world, okay? Because all these three main things I mentioned are the main things the world's suffering from. There's definitely other things the world's suffering from that are actually very serious too, like racism and obviously the possibility of nuclear war and stuff like that, which of course is still there, and other things. But the truth of the matter is, those issues are things that we can kind of resolve later on, okay? These three things are things that are harder to resolve, for that matter, okay? So we have to take these three main things that I mentioned: global warming, AI technology, and of course, you know, resource depletion very seriously in order for us to save the world. And the best way to do that is to definitely boycott these companies, for that matter, okay? You know, and the more we boycott them, the more they're going to lose power, and the more it's going to create a trend. Like, as I'm certain you're all aware, how the world works, the majority of people in the world, let's be honest, specifically people in positions of power, let's be honest, even more so, are cowards and will only do something if, like, you know, the you know, everyone else is pretty much doing it, you know, or they think, in other words, to sum it up, that it's popular to have that opinion, okay? So the truth of the matter is, to put it bluntly, I definitely believe that we can create a trend where companies are not willing to do these things anymore, you know, whether it could be using AI technology, or, you know, using cars that are destroying the environment with fossil fuels, or of course resource depletion, if we boycott them, okay? Because all companies want to make money, and if the consumer is not buying, then they're going to go flat broke. So that's the truth of the matter. So in short, that to answer your question, yes, I do believe we can still save the world. We just need to have a better system of how to boycott things, and that is the truth of the matter, okay? And that is what I have to say for this video, okay? So anyway, this is all I have to say for my video. I just one more thing to say, of course, is that I hope you enjoyed it. Um, you know, and just remember, if you like this video and videos like this, remember to sub this video up and hit the subscribe button. And this is all I have to say, and simply put them out. So bye.